How does Netflix make around 4.5 billion in profit over the last 4 quarters? By the end of this video, I'm going to break down how I would improve Netflix's landing pages and also breaking through the journey of how they make as much profit as possible, like they do here. So let's dive in. Firstly, going straight over to their site. Now, the first thing you note about their site, they have one call to action here. Now, they could ask for more info. You're seeing a lot of software companies or streaming services or whatever that they're asking for the name, they're asking for the email, they're asking for the phone number. Like Netflix has set the gold standard that they ask for the minimal amount of information needed, right? That's all they ask for. And what do they do here above the fold? They make sure they're testing just very, very simple headline and then very, very simple call to action. And they know that they're going to have some new visitors and some returning visitors. Now, if you're watching this from a different country or even a different part of the UK, for example, then you may actually, your page might look different to this one. Why? Because Netflix tests like crazy. So last time I heard they were testing like something like 256,000 split tests per month. Now, good news is we don't need to go and test that much, right, to be successful. However, we can apply a lot of the same principles that Netflix has done. So you'll notice here, they put enter your email to create or restart your membership. Why? Because otherwise people who come to this page, they go, well, what do I do? Because I signed up and then I stopped my membership. Where do I go now? Now, just by adding in 3 words, that takes all those returning visitors and makes this page personalized to them. Right, so that's a big, big difference. So unlimited films, TV programs, and more. Watch anywhere, cancel anytime. So what is their value proposition? You can watch as many films, TV programs, or whatever you want, and you can cancel anytime. Now, when this originally came out, that kind of hook and value proposition was very new and fresh, right? Because there wasn't as many streaming services out there. Now, that's not as much of a unique value proposition. However, people know so much about Netflix already that they know Netflix is the big dog in the space, and the fact that they do have such unlimited amount of stuff, right? So many different things on there. Now, if we scroll down the page a little bit more and go below the fold, by the way, just notice before we go below the fold, it's very important what they've done here is this piece above the fold here. They've got all the call to action that they need. So if you're getting a new person to sign up, great, we put it in there. If you're getting a existing person, they can sign in here. So they've got everything that they need. And just note it's just above the fold, because what they didn't want to do is have this cover the whole section, because then people think that's all the page and then they don't scroll. So they've put the Netflix you love for just $4.99, and you notice the gradient that they've got going on here at the moment, which almost kind of shows that there's going to be more to scroll down to, right? Without having to say scroll down. Now, we'll go back to this part in a minute, but if you go further down the page, enjoying your TV, watch on. So what are the objections that come up? So they're looking to handle all the objections on this page. So can I watch it on my TV? Yeah. Can I watch it on my Xbox? Yeah. Can I watch it on Apple TV? Yeah. Can you watch it on Blu-ray? Yeah. Right. You can watch it on all of those different things. And then what it's doing on the right-hand side as well, you notice the image that we've got going on here. Now it's showing different options on there. Now, what would be really cool is if they were able to track that user info more from what ads have been clicked on, for example, and then update these on the right hand side to show things that people have already expressed interest in, even if they're not signed up. So if they've clicked on a ad on Facebook that showed a particular show, then if that showed up in here, that's more likely to get that person to sign up. And it says watch everywhere. Now, they've got, what have they done here? They've took Stranger Things, which was one of the biggest shows on Netflix, and also it was a Netflix original. So the only place that someone can get to watch that program is on there. Stream unlimited films and TV programs on your phone, tablet, laptop, and TV. So we've already said enjoying a TV, and now we've gone a little bit wider and said, hey, look at all the other devices you can do. So What does that do? It goes back to the headline of unlimited films, TV programs, and more. Watch anywhere, cancel anytime. Now, create profiles for your children. Now, this is one that they've gone, okay, this is probably an objection that's coming up a lot, and I'm sure they've got a ridiculous amount of data on this stuff. Send your children on adventures with their favorite characters in a space made just for them, free with your membership. Now that's added, it's kind of a bonus on top without saying this is a bonus, right? So they've kind of added that as an extra tweak that potentially they haven't put in the headline. So when people come further down the page, they're like, yeah, but how do I keep my child safe? And they're answering that question there. Download the programs you want to watch offline, watch on a plane, train, or submarine. What does that link back to? Watch anywhere, cancel anytime, right? And then frequently asked questions. Now, they could put this as like full landing page sections here, but they wanted to keep the page simple and easy to understand. And you notice here on the left-hand side, we've also got where it says Stranger Things downloading. It's actually showing that process of clicking download and offline, because people need to take a successful test drive in their mind first before they end up going and doing the action. So there's a lot of things that we can take away just from like seeing how someone is using the product before they actually get into the product, because then they're more likely to run that successful test drive and then end up buying. So what is Netflix? Right? So if you're brand new to Netflix, never heard what Netflix is, they answer that there. And then how much does it cost? Where can I watch? Now, I imagine what they probably did with this was they took all the support messages, right? Or the comments that are on the ads or wherever, and then like general kind of focus groups and all the data that they've got and gone, okay, what are the biggest buckets and objections that someone is having or questions that they're having before they sign up, and then they would take all that data and then condense that all down into the least amount of questions possible to cover, like if you look at the 80-20 rule, right? So if you can cover 80% of the questions with 20% of the answers, that's going to be highly, highly beneficial, because 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions. So if you can apply that principle to the FAQs, that's what's going on here, so it doesn't create overwhelm. Right? Is Netflix good for children? Right, so they've come back to this. Children's profiles come with PIN protected. Now, they could have gone and put that up here. However, they didn't want to overwhelm with the text and the copy there. Then, what can I watch on Netflix? Right, so it breaks all that down and it reiterates as well as watch as much as you want, anytime you want. How do I cancel? Right, there's no annoying contracts or commitments. Easily cancel anytime online in 2 clicks. There's no cancellation fee. Start or stop anytime. You notice use the words anytime here, right? Easily cancel your account in 2 clicks. So they've showed the exact amount of effort involved in that. Where can I watch? Well, this is one of their big things, right? So they've basically taken everything that they've put above, but people who just skip to the end, then they can read this. And how much does Netflix cost? Plans range from £4.99 to £17.99 and no extra cost, no extra contracts, right? So let's break down the pricing model a little bit more, because this part's really, really interesting. And here's what makes it so interesting. If we look here, Netflix, how well does all that marketing activity translate in customers? Well, no surprise that Netflix has an astounding 93% conversion rate on free trials. Now, this was from 23rd of May, 2024, right? So this is pretty recent and up to date. 93%. Now, if we see here, the normal kind of opt-in rate from a free trial is like 8.2%, right? Amazon Prime runs at like 73%. Netflix is running at 93%. So what does that tell you about not just about what the marketing is like, but also how good their product is? Because people don't stick that heavy. It's not like they're sending you 10 emails saying, look, be great, like our platform's great, blah, blah, blah. No, they just have such a great product. So people stick. Now, you'll notice something that happened with Netflix a little while back is they changed some of their pricing. So if we go onto here, it now says step 1 of 3, choose your plan. No commitments, cancel anytime, endless entertainment, and enjoy Netflix on all of your devices. Okay, so if we look on here, what have they done? They've gone, here's the 3 benefit statements. So it says choose your plan. So now it's telling them what to do. Now, if it just brought them to this page straight away, potentially that would create overwhelm because they come to this page and go, well, okay. What they're doing is actually they pre-framed the sale before the sale has occurred. Now you notice just these little conversion tweaks that are on here. So this little tick here next to this one, right? And they've actually made this a little bit more red as well. Red creates a little bit more urgency to go towards that. Now, from a positioning standpoint, before Netflix used to be like $9.99, right? And they had some other options, but generally the majority was $9.99. They took it from $9.99 to $10.99 a month, right? Which is, you think, okay, well, it's only a pound jump, Paul, but that's actually a big jump. Why? Because it takes people above that digit threshold, right? It takes them from under £10 to over £10. It puts an extra 0 on the end. So by doing that, then what did they do? Well, they added another section here with a monthly price of $4.99. So you can see as soon as I click on that one, it changes the tick on here. But it starts as a default at $17.99. Why would it do that? For 2 reasons. Number one, obviously they want more people to take the $17.99 one because they've got more profitability there. Does it cost Netflix any more money to get people on the premium version versus the standard with adverts? Well, they're running it in 4K and HDR. Maybe there's slightly different server costs, but the overall cost is going to be like absolutely minimal, maybe a couple of pence, right? So very, very little. Now, if we look at the standard with adverts, if we look at these other 2 options here now, we're now going, okay, well, now these seem cheaper. Why? Because we've anchored this price here. Because we've started with the anchor of the $17.99. So it's very much intentional on purpose that I imagine this has been tested as well multiple times of having this high price on the left that they see first, because people tend to read left to right, having that high price on the left and then the lower prices as we go down to the right. Okay. And what happens a lot of the time, the most popular option will be in the middle. Why? Because people's eyes, they'll go left to right and then they go to the middle because people choose the middle choice. And at the same time, this is probably the most popular option because I don't want adverts. And am I really that bothered about getting 4K and HDR, right? Some people will be, but most won't be. So this has got a spatial audio as well included, which is pretty cool, right? And then what have they done? Well, the extra benefits there is obviously the no adverts, but download devices and devices your household can watch at the same time. So if you're like, hey, we want to watch this in 4 different rooms, this then becomes good value. One thing that might be worth testing on here is then they show the price per device, right? So for example, it's only like it's almost 11, right? So pretty much $5.50 per device. This one is like $2.50 per device. Forget about the 99. And then this one is it's like $4.50 per device, right? So this actually works out less per device than this one. What I would also potentially look at is changing this from 4 to 6, because if they've got more profitability in this $17.99, how much more does it cost them, as long as it doesn't cost significantly more, to make this 6 instead? Because then you can price anchor that piece, right, around the amount of devices and the cost per device. That gives you an extra benefit there. So let's say we choose our one there and it's a finish setting up your account. So you see how it's walking them through the steps rather than just going pricing page and then put your details in. It's like it's pre-framing what's going to happen next. Netflix is personalized for you. Create a password to start watching. Why? Because we've already given that email. So it's a create a password to start your membership, right? So we'd put we hate paperwork too. That's an interesting thing in there because that's potentially creating a negative pre-frame. I'd be interested to see how much they've tested that particular line. Just a few more steps and you're finished. So it says steps 2 out of 3. Maybe it's worth testing as well a couple more steps. Because a few could mean 4 or 5, right? Please do not email me Netflix special offers. Interesting that they've got an opt-out, not an opt-in with that. Don't know how that works from the legality standpoint, but yeah, it's certainly an opt-out at the moment when they're putting their email in. So they put their email in and the password there. Now, if you've gone through the sign up to go directly from the page, it's probably already going to have your email pre-filled right at this point. So we just put test@test.com and then doesn't really matter what that is. So now it says, I'm just going to use an email we don't really use a lot because okay, so now we get to this stage. Choose how to pay, right? So your payment is encrypted. You can change how you pay anytime. Secure for peace of mind. Cancel easy online. So as we walk through this, we go, okay, we've got PayPal, we've got gift code, we've got add to mobile bill. Now the gift code's an interesting one because if they could get more people signing up through the gift codes, then there's less of a commitment straight out the gate. So gift card, PIN or code, right? You notice here, it now doesn't give me the option to go back. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I've clicked on that, and so I can come back, but I have to click the back button here. But potentially worth having a button that says, did you click the wrong option? Yes, and then it comes back to this billing screen, right? So then you notice here, they've collected the email, they've collected the password already, so now they can retarget you, send you emails, bring you back in to get to that free trial. And potentially, I don't know if they'll do this or not, but I'd imagine that there may be options where they go, okay, this person hasn't signed up for a free trial after 30 days. Then maybe they give them a 60-day trial or a 90-day trial, right? And they're probably going to try and find out as much as possible about that person from like what their interest and preferences, and then do unique videos depending on what they are. Now, you notice on here, again, asking for as little as details as possible. They've got the name on the card, expiry date, CVV, and that's it. And I agree. You agree your membership will begin immediately and acknowledge you will therefore lose your right to withdraw, right? So you notice here, it said it will currently be $17.99 a month, start paid membership. So I imagine with this button as well, there's been a level of testing. However, it'd be interesting to test things like, and I don't know what the legalities are on this. Maybe they've done this for a particular reason to be compliant. However, it might be like, yes, start my subscription, or yes, give me access to Netflix, those kind of things. Or yes, I want to binge watch Netflix, right? Different versions and ways of doing that, just to see which one performs best. So all of those things really help. Now, I'm not going to sign up right now because I've already got a Netflix account anyway. But this gives you an idea of like all those conversion things that are happening in the journey, right? And think about your own customer journey of how easy and how much are you framing that part to get them to sign up? How are you reducing down the amount of friction and steps so everything feels really simple and easy to understand, where they're just clicking next and it's like, okay, great, now put your card details in. Great, there we go. This is what to expect at each stage. So it's not overwhelming as we take them through there, right? It's just micro steps. Now, if we look at the rest of the customer journey, okay, and we look at the ads here, you'll notice a lot of the ads have only got 2 lines in here, pretty much all of them. So they've got adverts going. These are the new things coming out. So Supercell seems to be one of the new things that they're focusing on. Supercell. This one's coming out on the 3rd of July. So they're always kind of presenting the stuff that's coming up soon. Now, we can't see the targeting from looking at this. However, I would imagine what's happening as well is they're also probably doing like video views campaigns or engagement campaigns for people who are already Netflix subscribers to make sure that these people actually see this stuff as well. Why? Because they know if people go from free trial to to pay membership, that they want them to stick on the platform. So when they are not on Netflix, they want to be reminding them to get back to Netflix. And these also can be used as well for getting new people to sign up. So you notice, if you look on here, it says watch more on some of these, but some of these have got no call to action. Some of these have got no subject at all. It's literally just a video. So
I got an idea. No, it's a bad idea. Shit.
Right? It's the trailer for the Beverly Hills cop stuff with the Eddie Murphy stuff, right? However, the ones that we click watch more, so let's just click on that and see where we go. So this pops up, and then this is coming up with the film on here, right? And it's coming up with the thumbnail at the top. Now, here's what's interesting. Firstly, they've got the join now button up here. Personally, I would look to bring this section here where it says join now above the fold, because this looks really neat. However, the call to action isn't as easy to see because I kind of skips above the header a lot of the time, right? And then if we scroll a bit further down here, we can see we have the teaser and the trailer. Now, potentially something else that's worth testing, and they've probably done some level of testing here, but I'd be interested to see the difference between adding the teaser and the trailer at this section above the fold, and then someone would be able to click the button above the fold to say join now or watch now or whatever that thing is. So if they click join now, if they click watch now, for example, instead of join now, then that could take them to the sign up page there if they're not already signed up, right? And then you scroll down. Here's the interesting thing. Here's more things that you might like, right? Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills, right? And then you've got other things like Rush Hour. So these are all tagged and everything. And what Netflix does really, really, really well is they take multiple thumbnails for each particular film or program, and they test those against each other and see which ones get the highest click-through rates, right? Which ones are getting the most engagement, and then do those click-through rates turn into watches? Why? Because we want to create as much engagement as possible. So I'm seeing this image here doesn't mean that you will see the same image. You might see something completely different. And this is the idea of split testing, personalization, tracking the data all the way through. And if you think about your own landing page right now, I'm not saying, hey, just go to Netflix's main lander, right? So if I click that, and you notice here, I'd started the sign up, and what's it done? It's created a personalized experience there. It says finish your sign up, right? Because it's already knows that I've already started that, and it's created that welcome back personalized flow, rather than asking for my email again and take me back to square one. Now, if we look at everything down here, does everything else remain the same? Pretty much. But apart from the button at the moment that says finish sign up, what does it do? Now, here's a part that they could optimize, because we've clicked finish sign up and it's taken me back to step one. It's lost the fact that I was already on step 3. So now I'm having to go through this part again, even though I was already on step 3. So if that was personalized to be able to understand where I got to in the customer journey and then took me back to that, because now it's creating the same work for me again that I had before. So if I click on that, now you see it skipped a step there, so it did personalize it more. If I go back, let's choose standard, and it's still taking me back to this stage, right? So it is kind of half optimized, but it's asking me to do my plan again. So at that point, maybe they want to skip that step and bring people straight to the card detail part, because they can still change the plan here, right? Just click change and change it to whatever. However, if we're taking it back to step 1, potentially that's going to reduce signups because they've already gone through that stage, right? And especially if I've done the same day. So that could also be changed based on the window of time when I came back to the page. right? So all those things are helping the conversion rates improve, and you can see there's actually still a lot of money potentially on the table for Netflix of how that user journey works. So what is the outcomes, and what can we learn from this, right? Overall, what can we learn from this whole process? So number one is when you're looking at your customer journey, having that entrance to for someone to come into your world that is easy for them to opt in, get the outcome, right? Get the initial outcome, and then to be guided through that customer journey. So what happens a lot of the time, there's just too much information asked for originally. Like even just going through this myself, I just looked at our own stuff and I was like, do you know what? There's probably a few tweaks that we can make on our thank you pages, especially of like if someone opts in for a lead magnet, right? Any kind of cheat sheet or like guide or whatever, like then quite often we look to get them into our private community. Now, to get them into the private community, that is asking for 4 or 5 pieces of information, rather than if we ask for 1 or 2 of those pieces of information as step 1, and then ask for the other 2 pieces of information as step 2. And then potentially we give them even more bonus or whatever for giving that extra information, and then they get access to that area. And then we want to walk them through to make sure they actually get access to that school community, right? Or the Facebook community, wherever we're taking them to. Because Netflix has really refined that process. The other thing to note is right now, do you treat all your customers the same? So the customers who come to the page for the first time, is that the same as the people who come as returning customers? And are you targeting those people in different ways? So you can set up user tests for those things and change the button on there, for example. So instead of asking for their email again, you say finish sign up, and then they take them to that page, right? And then the other things are the FAQs. How can you condense your FAQs down to just the 80% of the questions being answered with 20% of the answers, right? And then looking at how are you bringing people back into the rest of the sales process, and how are you split testing every stage of the journey to make sure that you're getting the highest possible conversion rates. Because what you'll see sometimes as well, for example, the back thumbnail of this will be different for whatever's converting, right? So they'll probably go and testing like 20, 30, I don't know, hundreds of different thumbnails on the back of this image to see which one is converting the best. And then they'll use more of that. And then breaking that down even further into subsegments. So, for example, you might have Netflix in Brazil maybe has, so, well, let's just do it now. Let's see if we can pull this up, right? Okay, so that's interesting. So I tried USA to see if that would come up, and it says, oh, sorry, we can't find that page. Oh, you'll find a lot to explore here, right? So let's go back to Netflix Home. Let's just see if it's US instead of USA. Okay, so it redirects me to GB straight away every time. If I was to open this in a proxy, then potentially we can get to the US version. But if you're looking at this US, Brazil, Spain, like wherever else, you're probably going to see different things on these thumbnails, right? Than there is on the other one. Now, just looking at this as well, I swear that font just changed. I'm not sure. Like maybe my eyes are going weird, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're testing the fonts and everything, right? So there's just a lot of different conversion points that you can add into your own business, literally just by modeling what Netflix does. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to create a landing page that looks exactly the same as Netflix, because unless you've got the same product as Netflix, number one, that's still not going to be as effective because you don't have the level of social proof or strength in the marketplace. Number two, most of the time you're probably going to have to add more detail to that, and Netflix can probably spend more to acquire a customer than you because of their LTV over time, right? So if you look at going through this whole process as like, how can I make my offer impossible to misunderstand, right? How can I make sure my value